Maya Rodriguez stepped through the sliding doors of Nexus Academy's main cafeteria, her worn Earth-made boots squeaking against the polished alien floor. The massive hall buzzed with hundreds of different voices, clicks, chirps, and sounds she couldn't even begin to identify. Students from dozens of worlds sat clustered together, their various body types creating a rainbow of colors and shapes that still amazed her after 3 days on the station. She clutched her meal tray tighter, trying not to stare at the floating jellyfish-like beings near the windows or the rock creatures that seemed to eat actual stones. Maya had dreamed of this moment her entire life, being the first human from her small Texas town to earn a scholarship to the galaxy's most prestigious learning center. But right now, she just wanted to grab some food and find a quiet corner. The food dispensers lined the far wall, each one designed for different species' dietary needs. Maya had figured out which ones were safe for human consumption, though the blue protein cubes still looked like rubber to her. She joined the line behind a group of tall, thin aliens with silver skin who kept making musical sounds at each other. That's when she noticed him watching her. Crix stood nearly 8 feet tall, his 4 arms crossed in a way that made his chitinous exoskeleton creak. His people, the Velkans, came from a world where gravity was 3 times stronger than Earth's. They were known throughout the galaxy as natural warriors, their hard shells and multiple limbs making them formidable in any fight. Maya had read about them in her preparation materials, but seeing one up close was different. His compound eyes gleamed with an intelligence that seemed calculating, almost predatory. She tried to ignore him and moved forward in line. The silver-skinned students ahead of her finished their selections and glided away on what looked like roller skates built into their feet. Maya stepped up to the dispenser and pressed the buttons for her usual selection: protein cubes, vitamin water, and something that resembled bread. "Move, human." The voice came from directly behind her, low and rumbling like rocks grinding together. Maya glanced over her shoulder to see Crix looming there, all 4 of his arms now uncrossed and flexed. His mandibles clicked together in what she had learned was either amusement or aggression among his kind. "I'm sorry, I'm almost done," Maya said quietly, turning back to finish her selection. Her grandmother had always taught her to be polite, even when others weren't. "I said move. Now." This time, his voice carried across the cafeteria. Several nearby conversations stopped. Maya felt heat rise in her cheeks as dozens of alien eyes turned toward them. She had been trying so hard to blend in, to not draw attention to herself as the only human in most of her classes. "Please, I just need 1 more second," she said, reaching for the bread substitute. Crix's upper right arm shot out and wrapped around her forearm, his grip tight enough that she could feel the ridges of his exoskeleton pressing against her jacket. He intended to physically move her aside like she was a child. Maya had grown up on a ranch outside Austin, where she'd spent her summers hauling hay bales and helping her father repair fences in 100-degree heat. Her bones had been strengthened by Earth's gravity, her muscles conditioned by years of hard work under a yellow sun that bathed her world in radiation that would kill most of the species around her. But she thought of herself as just a normal girl who had gotten lucky with a scholarship. The crack was louder than she expected. Crix's grip appendage snapped with a sound like a branch breaking, the chitinous shell splitting along multiple fracture lines. His scream filled the cafeteria, a high-pitched shriek that made every being in the room freeze. Maya stared down at her arm, completely unharmed beneath her jacket sleeve, then up at Crix as he stumbled backward, cradling his broken limb against his chest. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." Maya dropped her tray, the protein cubes scattering across the floor. "I didn't mean to, I didn't even do anything." But Crix wasn't listening. He was staring at his shattered appendage, green fluid leaking from the cracks, his compound eyes wide with shock and pain. The cafeteria had gone completely silent except for his labored breathing and the soft hum of the station's life support systems. Commander Blake Thompson's voice cut through the silence as he rushed across the cafeteria, his security uniform marking him as one of the few other humans on the station. "What happened here?" The medical bay's sterile white walls hummed with alien technology that Maya couldn't begin to understand. She sat on an examination table that had automatically adjusted to her height, watching Dr. Thyss work on Crix's shattered arm with tools that looked like they belonged in a science fiction movie. The Velkin student had finally stopped screaming, but his breathing still came in sharp, painful gasps. Dr. Elena Vasquez stood beside Maya, her familiar human face a comfort in the sea of alien medical staff rushing around. Elena had been working on the station for 2 years, one of only a handful of human doctors in the entire galaxy. She kept glancing between Maya and the readouts on her tablet with an expression Maya couldn't quite read. "I still don't understand what happened," Maya said for the 5th time. "He grabbed my arm, and then, that sound. It was horrible." Dr. Thyss approached them, her 6 spider-like legs clicking against the metal floor. Her species, the Arachnery, were known throughout the galaxy for their medical expertise. Multiple eyes focused on Maya while others continued monitoring displays around the room. "Young human," Dr. Thyss said, her voice translated through the universal communicator, "we need to run some scans on you. Standard procedure after any incident involving bodily harm." "But I'm not hurt," Maya protested, rolling up her sleeve to show her unmarked arm. "See? Not even a bruise." Dr. Thyss and Elena exchanged a look that made Maya's stomach twist. There was something they weren't telling her. "It's just precautionary," Elena said gently. "Please, Maya. It'll only take a few minutes." The scanning device looked like a large metal arch that hummed with energy. Maya stood in the center while beams of light played across her body, collecting data that appeared on screens around the room. She tried not to think about what the scans might reveal. Her family had always been strong, her father could work 16-hour days on the ranch without breaking a sweat, and her mother had once lifted a fallen tree branch off their neighbor's car after a storm. The first alarm made everyone in the medical bay freeze. Dr. Thyss scuttled over to the main display, her multiple eyes widening as data flowed across the screen. She made a series of clicking sounds that the translator couldn't interpret, then called over 2 more medical technicians. "What's wrong?" Maya asked, stepping out of the scanner. "Is something bad showing up?" Elena was staring at her tablet, her face pale. She shook her head slowly, then looked up at Maya with something that might have been awe. "Maya, honey, when was the last time you had a full medical scan?" "Before I left Earth, about 6 months ago. Everything was normal." Maya felt her heart rate picking up. "Why? What are you seeing?" Dr. Thyss approached them again, her movements more cautious now. "Human Maya Rodriguez, according to our instruments, your bone density measures at 4.2 on the Galactic Durability Scale." Maya blinked. "Is that bad?" "Most species register between 0.8 and 1.5, Elena said quietly. "Military combat species, the ones bred for war, usually hit around 2.0. Standard combat armor plating measures 3.8, Dr. Thyss added, her translator making her sound almost confused. "Your skeletal structure is denser than the protective gear worn by our elite soldiers." Maya laughed, but it came out shaky. "That can't be right. I'm just a normal person. I grew up on a ranch in Texas." Elena pulled up another screen on her tablet. "Your muscle fiber stress tolerance is off our charts, Maya. We've never seen readings like this from any biological entity. And your cardiovascular system." She trailed off, shaking her head. "What about it?" "Your heart pumps with enough force to move blood through a body 3 times your size. Your lung capacity could process atmosphere that would poison most species. And your immune system." Elena looked up from the tablet. "Maya, you're reading as immune to 17 different toxins that are lethal to 90% of known species." Dr. Thyss clicked her mandibles together. "We must recalibrate our understanding of human physiology. The medical files from Earth grossly underestimate your species' capabilities." Maya sank back onto the examination table, her mind reeling. "But I'm not special. Everyone from my hometown is like this. We just live our lives. That's exactly the point, Elena said, moving closer. You grew up under a yellow star that bathes your world in radiation. Your planet has gravity that would crush most species. The atmospheric pressure alone would kill half the beings on this station. Earth isn't just another world, Maya, it's classified as a Class 12 Deathworld. A what? A planet so hostile that most species consider it uninhabitable, Dr. THYSS explained. The fact that intelligent life not only evolved there but thrived, it's unprecedented. Most Deathworld species either destroy themselves or never advance beyond their hostile planets. Maya thought about her home, the scorching summers, the brutal winters, the storms that could level buildings. She thought about her classmates back on Earth, all of them strong and resilient in ways she'd taken for granted. So when Crix grabbed me, he expected to encounter standard galactic average bone density, Elena said. Instead, he essentially tried to crush military-grade armor plating with his bare hand. Maya walked through the academy corridors the next morning, and the change was immediate. Where students had once barely noticed her, now conversations stopped when she approached. Groups of aliens would cluster together, their various forms of communication creating a symphony of whispers, clicks, and telepathic buzzes that she couldn't understand but definitely felt. A group of crystalline beings from Zirion Prime pressed themselves against the wall as she passed, their translucent bodies flickering with nervous energy. Behind her, she heard the unmistakable sound of the floating nebulans rapidly whooshing away, their gas-filled bodies making soft popping sounds in their haste to avoid her. Maya clutched her data pad tighter and tried to focus on finding her advanced physics classroom. The medical bay incident had spread through the station faster than she thought possible. By the time she returned to her dormitory last night, her alien roommate had already moved out, leaving behind only a note written in symbols Maya couldn't read. Professor Kent, her theoretical mathematics instructor, had actually flinched when she'd entered his classroom that morning. His tentacled form had recoiled so violently that he'd knocked over a display of holographic equations. The other students had stared at Maya with expressions ranging from fear to fascination, but none had spoken to her. Maya Rodriguez to my office, immediately. The announcement came through her personal communicator as she reached her physics classroom. Dean Valores never called students directly unless something was seriously wrong. Maya's stomach dropped as she turned around and headed toward the administrative section of the station. The dean's office overlooked the academy's main plaza through massive transparent walls. Dean Valores himself was a Corythian, a species known for their diplomatic skills and careful decision-making. His blue-scaled face showed concern as Maya entered. "Please, sit," he said, gesturing to a chair that adjusted itself to human proportions. "We need to discuss yesterday's incident." Maya perched on the edge of the seat. "Sir, I really didn't mean for anyone to get hurt. I don't even know what I did wrong." "That's exactly the problem, Miss Rodriguez." Dean Valores pulled up a holographic display showing medical reports. "According to Dr. THYSS, you possess physical capabilities that far exceed what we understood about human physiology. Several faculty members are now questioning whether it's safe to have humans in regular classes with other species. But I've been here for weeks without any problems." "Yes, but now we know you've been unconsciously restraining yourself." He leaned forward, his large eyes studying her carefully. "Tell me, have you ever felt like you needed to hold back during physical activities here? Be gentle with equipment or other students?" Maya thought about it. She had been careful not to grip things too tightly after accidentally crushing a data tablet on her first day. And she'd noticed that she barely felt tired after climbing the station's emergency stairs when the lift systems had been down for maintenance. "Maybe a little," she admitted. "Miss Rodriguez, I'm going to have to ask you to." She's not the only one. Both Maya and the dean turned toward the door. A young man about Maya's age stood there, his brown hair messy and his human features familiar in a way that made Maya almost cry with relief. He wore the dark blue uniform of the engineering program, and his name tag read, Jake Patterson, Earth, Engineering Corps. "Jake Patterson," Dean Valores said slowly. You're scheduled for next period. This is a private meeting. With respect, sir, I think I need to be part of this conversation. Jake stepped into the room, and Maya noticed he moved with the same careful precision she'd been unconsciously using. Maya's not dangerous, and she's definitely not the problem here. Mr. Patterson, please return to. Did you know there are 12 humans currently enrolled at this academy? Jake interrupted, his voice calm but firm. Did you know that all of us have been deliberately underperforming in physical assessments to avoid exactly this situation? Maya stared at him. There are other humans here. Jake nodded, his expression grim. Lisa Chen from the medical program has been pretending she can barely lift standard equipment weights, when she actually helped move a damaged shuttle engine last month that 3 Corinthians couldn't budge. Tommy Williams from Agricultural Sciences has been acting like he gets tired easily, but I've seen him work 18-hour shifts in the hydroponic labs without breaking a sweat. Dean Valoris's scales shifted color, a sign of agitation among his species. Are you telling me that human students have been lying about their capabilities? Not lying, Maya said, finally understanding. Hiding. We've been hiding what we can do because we thought we were normal and everyone else was just fragile. Jake moved closer to Maya's chair. When I first got here, I accidentally bent a door handle just by turning it normally. My roommate reported it as a mechanical failure because he couldn't believe a weak human had done it. I've been opening doors like they're made of glass ever since. I crushed 3 data tablets in my first week, Maya added. I thought they were just poorly made. The problem isn't that we're dangerous, Jake continued, addressing the dean directly. The problem is that no one bothered to properly assess human capabilities before admitting us to the academy. Your entire species database lists us as fragile carbon-based life forms with limited physical abilities. Dean Valoris was quiet for a long moment, his fingers tapping against his desk in a rapid pattern that Maya had learned meant deep thinking among Corinthians. How many of you are there, really? He asked finally. 12 here at the academy, Jake said. But Earth has been sending students to various galactic institutions for 3 years now. There are probably hundreds of us scattered across different schools, all pretending to be weaker than we are because that's what everyone expects. Maya felt something shift inside her chest, not fear this time, but a growing sense of anger. So we're supposed to pretend to be helpless just so other species feel comfortable around us? That's exactly what we've been doing, Jake said. And it's not fair to us, and it's not fair to them either. They deserve to know who they're really working with. Dean Valoris stood up, his full height impressive even by galactic standards. This changes everything. If human capabilities have been systematically underestimated, we need to completely reevaluate our safety protocols, our equipment standards, our physical education programs. Or, Maya said quietly, you could just treat us like everyone else and let us show you what we can really do. The Academy's main assembly hall buzzed with nervous energy as hundreds of students from dozens of worlds gathered for the emergency meeting. Maya sat between Jake and 2 other human students she'd just met, Lisa Chen from Medical and Tommy Williams from Agricultural Sciences. For the first time since arriving at the Academy, she didn't feel completely alone. At the front of the room, Dean Valoris stood beside a human Maya had never seen before. The man was older, maybe in his 50s, with graying hair and the kind of posture that screamed military background. His uniform bore the insignia of the Tactical Studies Department. Students, Dean Valoris began, his voice carrying easily through the hall's translation systems, I want to introduce Professor Aldrich Voss. He's been teaching tactical operations here for the past year, and he's requested permission to address today's concerns about human students. Professor Voss stepped forward, and Maya immediately noticed something different about how he moved. Unlike her and the other human students, he didn't seem to be holding himself back. His steps were confident, his posture straight, and when he gripped the podium, Maya could see the metal actually bend slightly under his fingers. I've been watching the events of the past few days with great interest, Professor Voss said, his voice carrying the authority of someone used to being listened to. There's been a lot of fear, a lot of misunderstanding, and frankly, a lot of prejudice flying around this station. A ripple of uncomfortable sounds passed through the assembled students, clicks from the insectoids, harmonic tones from the crystalline species, and nervous bubbling from the aquatic beings. I've served in Earth's military for 25 years before coming here. I've seen combat on worlds that would kill most of the species in this room within minutes. And I can tell you right now that every single human student at this academy has been holding back their true capabilities since the day they arrived. Maya felt her cheeks burn as hundreds of alien eyes turned toward the small group of human students. The question isn't whether humans are dangerous, Professor Voss continued. The question is whether this academy is truly committed to diversity and inclusion, or whether you only want diversity that makes you feel comfortable. Dean Valoris shifted uncomfortably. Professor Voss, while I appreciate your perspective, let me propose a solution, Voss interrupted smoothly. In 2 weeks, this academy will hold its annual multi-species survival challenge. It's designed to test each species' natural advantages in a controlled environment. I propose that Maya Rodriguez participate not as a fragile human who needs accommodation, but as a representative of what humans are actually capable of. The hall erupted in sounds Maya couldn't identify, some that sounded like protests, others like excitement. She felt her heart start pounding. Professor, I don't think, Maya started to say. The challenge is dangerous, interrupted Vexlai, a student from the warrior race of Thanagarians. His voice carried the mechanical tones of his species translator. It's designed for military-grade species. Humans are classified as civilians. Professor Voss smiled, and Maya saw something predatory in that expression. Exactly my point. Your classifications are wrong. Jake leaned over to Maya. What's the survival challenge? He whispered. Lisa, who had been at the academy longer than any of them, answered quietly. It's a big deal. Teams of 5 students from different species have to navigate through simulated hostile environments. There are puzzles that need different biological advantages to solve, physical challenges, environmental hazards. Last year, 3 teams didn't finish at all. And you want Maya to do this? Tommy asked, looking worried. I want Maya to show everyone what humans are really capable of, Professor Voss said, apparently having overheard their whispered conversation. But only if she's willing. Maya stood up slowly, feeling the weight of hundreds of stares. Her hands were shaking, but she forced her voice to stay steady. What exactly would I have to do? Professor Voss pulled up a holographic display showing a complex 3-dimensional maze filled with various environments. The challenge simulates hostile planet exploration. Toxic atmosphere sections, extreme temperature zones, predator encounters, equipment failures, resource scarcity. Each team member contributes their species' natural advantages to overcome different obstacles. What advantages would I contribute? Maya asked. That's what we're going to find out. Professor Voss's expression was serious now. Maya, I'm not going to lie to you. This is dangerous even for military species. You could get seriously hurt. But if I don't do it, human students will keep being treated like we're made of glass, Maya said, understanding the real stakes. Or worse, Jake added quietly. They might decide we're too unpredictable to stay at the academy at all. Maya looked around the assembly hall at all the alien faces watching her. Some looked curious, others fearful, and a few seemed almost eager to see her fail. She thought about her family back on Earth, about how proud they'd been when she'd gotten a scholarship. She thought about all the human students who might come after her. I'll do it, she said, her voice carrying clearly through the hall. But I have one condition. Name it, Professor Voss said. I want to compete at full strength. No more holding back, no more pretending to be weaker than I am. If everyone wants to see what humans can really do, then that's what they'll get. The hall fell completely silent for a moment. Then Professor Voss smiled, not the predatory expression from before, but something proud and approving. That's exactly what I was hoping you'd say. The morning of the multi-species survival challenge arrived with the artificial dawn cycle that marked time aboard the station. Maya stood in the preparation chamber, checking her gear one final time. The standard issue survival suit felt strange. For the first time since arriving at the academy, it had been calibrated for actual human capabilities rather than the fragile Earth-dweller profile in the computer systems. Her teammates gathered around the holographic mission briefing. Zeph was a Aquarian, her gills fluttering nervously as she reviewed the water-based obstacles. Thorek came from a species that thrived in extreme cold, his thick fur already adapting to the anticipated temperature changes. Quinn belonged to a race of natural problem solvers, her large cranium housing a brain that could calculate complex equations in seconds. And then there was Crix. The Velkin student's broken arm had healed, thanks to advanced medical technology, but he still favored it slightly. Maya had tried to talk to him several times over the past 2 weeks, wanting to apologize again, but he'd avoided her completely. Now they were stuck on the same team, and the tension was obvious to everyone. Remember, Professor Vasa's voice came through their communicators, this isn't just about winning. You're representing your species' capabilities to the entire academy. Every decision you make reflects on your people. Maya took a deep breath. No pressure at all. The simulation chamber was massive, a multi-level environment that could recreate dozens of different planetary conditions. As soon as the team crossed the starting line, the first challenge hit them immediately. The air turned thick and green, simulating the toxic atmosphere of a methane-rich world. Zeph immediately started struggling, her gills not designed for processing poisonous gases. Thorek's species was built for clean mountain air, and Quinn's people came from a world with almost pure oxygen. Within minutes, 3 of her teammates were gasping and slowing down. Maya felt the familiar burn in her lungs that reminded her of summer days working in her father's dusty barn during harvest season. Unpleasant, but manageable. Everyone stay close to me, she called through the communication system. I'll lead until we get through this section. She pushed forward through the toxic cloud, her Earth-adapted respiratory system processing the harmful gases without the distress her teammates were experiencing. Behind her, she could hear Crix's labored breathing, but when she glanced back, he was keeping pace with grim determination. The second challenge was a maze of extreme temperatures, scorching heat chambers alternating with freezing cold passages. Thorek took the lead through the ice sections, his natural cold resistance allowing him to scout ahead safely. But when they hit the heat chambers, everyone else started faltering. Maya had spent 18 summers working under the brutal Texas sun, her body naturally regulating temperature in ways that amazed the medical staff. She guided the team through sections where the heat would have been lethal to most species, carrying extra water supplies and sharing her body heat with teammates during the cold passages. "How are you not affected by any of this?" Quinn asked during a brief rest period, her analytical mind clearly working on the puzzle of human physiology. "I grew up on a world that's trying to kill everything on it every single day," Maya replied simply. "You learn to adapt." The third challenge nearly broke them. Simulated predators, holographic creatures designed to test combat responses and teamwork under pressure. The first wave came fast, pack hunters that used coordinated attacks to separate team members. Maya's teammates each had their strengths. Zeph was fast in water, Thorek was nearly indestructible in cold environments, and Quinn could outthink almost any puzzle. But none of them were built for sustained combat against multiple attackers. Maya was. Years of ranch work had given her reflexes honed by dealing with unpredictable animals. Her bone density let her take hits that would shatter most beings, and her muscle fiber allowed her to keep fighting when exhaustion would have dropped other species. She moved through the pack of simulated predators like her father moved through stubborn cattle, with patience, strength, and an understanding of how to use an opponent's momentum against them. But the real test came when the final predator targeted Crix. The simulated creature was massive, designed to challenge even warrior species. It caught Crix off guard, its holographic claws raking across his exoskeleton and sending him crashing into a rocky wall. Maya heard the crack of his shell and saw the green fluid that meant serious injury. Without thinking, she threw herself between Crix and the creature. The impact sent her sliding across the ground, but she rolled to her feet and grabbed Crix under his arms. He was heavier than any human she'd ever lifted, but her adrenaline-fueled muscles didn't care about weight calculations. "Hold on," she grunted, half carrying, half dragging him toward the safe zone while the creature circled for another attack. "Leave me," Crix wheezed, his translator crackling with static. "Save yourself." "Not happening," Maya replied, adjusting her grip to get better leverage. "We finished this together." She made it to the safe zone just as the simulation ended, both of them collapsing onto the soft landing pad as the holographic environment dissolved around them. The viewing chamber erupted in sounds Maya had never heard before, alien applause, cheers, and expressions of amazement from dozens of species. Professor Voss was grinning, Dean Valoris looked stunned, and Jake was jumping up and down in the observation deck. Team 5 has completed the multi-species survival challenge, the announcement came over the station's communication system. Maya Rodriguez has achieved the fastest completion time in the challenge's history. But Maya wasn't paying attention to the announcements or the cheering crowds. She was looking at Crix, who was staring at her with an expression she'd never seen on a Velkan face before. "Why?" he asked quietly. "Why did you risk yourself for me? After what I did to you?" Maya helped him sit up, checking his injuries. "Because we're teammates. And because I know what it's like to be judged for something you can't help." Crix was quiet for a long moment. Then his mandibles clicked together in what Maya had learned was the Velkan expression of respect. "I was wrong about your species," he said. "About you." Around them, the Academy's perspective on humans was changing just as dramatically.